It was a rainy day, a Friday, October 17th, 1975. It was early in the morning. Trooper Harry Stegall, just 23 years old, not long on the job, was clocking motorists on Highway 74 in Scotland County. He took us back to the exact location where he almost took his final breath.
And I was working radar on US 74 bypass, which is behind us here. And about 8:20, I observed a orange Volkswagen station wagon traveling westbound at 65 miles an hour, and decided to go ahead and issue a citation because he didn't slow down.
He, the driver, was Gregory Hudson Jones, a fugitive wanted for killing a man in New Hanover County. Trooper Stegall had no clue. The only thing he knew was there was a man in an orange Volkswagen driving 10 miles over the posted speed limit.
When he pulled over, I gave the audible signal one more time, and he pulled right into this location where we're standing right here.
Trooper Stegall ran the tags before approaching the vehicle. The plate from DeKalb County, Georgia was valid. The motorist seemed compliant.
So I said, "Mr. Jones, I clocked you speeding back here about a mile on the bypass. You're going to have to follow me down to the magistrate's office and post bond." He didn't say anything. As I started to step away from the vehicle, he said, "Hey." And when I turned back, he extended his arms in this tight position and fired 5 times in rapid succession.
Jones shot him with a .380 automatic pistol, close range, 5 times.
Evidently, I started to turn like this from the pressure, but it did knock me down, and I turned sideways, and the 5th one went right under my right ear and through my throat and lodged in my left jaw. And I threw his driver's license out into the grass. I don't know why I did it, I just did it. And I started backwards, just kind of doing like this, trying to keep myself up. My right arm wouldn't work. So for just a second, I thought shoot back, but there was no way because it wouldn't work. I felt like I was gonna fall. And so I went down on my knees and I tried to use my right arm for balance, but it wouldn't work. So I fell over on my back. He gets out of the vehicle, runs to retrieve his driver's license, and then comes back running at me and fires 2 more times.
Trooper Stegall, now on the ground, bleeding profusely and about 20 feet from his patrol car. He said there was only one thing he could do.
I said a prayer. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but I said something like, "Lord, I need some help here, and if you help me, I try to be a better person." And at that very moment, a vehicle stopped right there. Man got out of the car, came over to me and says, "Oh my God, you look terrible." I'm thinking, I already know that. I said, "Get in the patrol car, get on channel 1 and call for help. Just tell them there's a trooper shot on the bypass behind the Chevrolet place in Laurinburg. They'll know what to do." I can't do that. Well, he tried, and obviously he couldn't. So he got back in his car and he drove down here to the gas station and called for help.
Remember, it's 1975. There were no cell phones. The man had no choice but to leave Trooper Stegall lying on the side of the road. Not knowing if or when the man would come back, Trooper Stegall knew time was of the essence. It was up to him to get back to his patrol car about 20 feet away.
So on my back, very careful not to jostle anything loose because I don't know what's shot and what's not, except blood squirting out of me. I'm spitting it out and it's coming out my chest. So very carefully I slid back on my back, and the man actually left the door open on my patrol car, which was good. I slid under the door, pulled myself up towards the passenger seat, got the steering wheel, pulled myself inside the patrol car. H238 town. I've been shot. I'm behind the Chevrolet place in Laurinburg, subject Jones.
Within minutes, an ambulance arrived. Stegall, though, was too critically injured to be treated at the local hospital. He had to be flown in an Army helicopter to Chapel Hill. There was no landing pad at the Laurinburg Hospital, so he had to be picked up from the parking lot of the local high school. No question, it was a matter of life or death now, and the Army pilot was determined it would not be the latter.
Once I got on board the helicopter, then he started towards Chapel Hill. He was notified that Chapel Hill was socked in with rain and there was no instruments on that helicopter pad either. So he was to take me to Raleigh-Durham Airport and stand by for an ambulance to then transport me by ground to Chapel Hill.
When they landed at RDU, the ambulance had not yet arrived.
The medic on board said that if I wasn't on an operating table within 30 to 45 minutes, I'd die, I'd bleed to death.
Because there was no flight pattern, the pilot used a road map to get to the Chapel Hill Hospital and literally flew treetops to navigate the streets.
The co-pilot said he saw a red light. The pilot thought it was a tower light, turned out to be a traffic light.
Stegall was immediately taken into surgery. That was a Friday. He miraculously walked out of the hospital the following Wednesday. He went back to work January 4th. He credits his highway patrol instructor with his will to survive. He taught him that challenges can be overcome with a strong determination. And then there are 3 other people he says are the reasons he lived.
In my book, I call it the angels. The angels came. The first one stopped. The second was in the back of an ambulance and was able to get my tongue back up, get an airway cleared to let me breathe. Then, of course, the helicopter pilot. And then my 4th angel was my instructor in school that I talked about, Pete Peterson. He came to my hospital room that night about 9 o'clock, and I was afraid. For the first time, I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to go back to work. I was starting to doubt myself. And he came in and he put his hand on me and he said, "You're going to be fine." He said, "I have all the confidence in the world. You'll be fine." And from that point on, there was never a doubt that I would survive.